Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Let us start our class with Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Alright, in my previous lectures, I explained on lateral thinking. So, for tomorrow actually, today or tomorrow, it's the same. Alright, regardless of that, I'm going to explain a little bit on the conceptual teaching, okay, conceptual thinking, and how does it relate to teaching thinking. Right, I give you a situation. You can read this here. Alright, let's say that you have a student named Nikolay, and this Nikolay is a very bright student. He's young, alright, love going to school, energetic, and then he actually starts his own schooling with a curious mind, like other kids. Okay, he knows that the school, his classroom, his teacher actually allow him to use his own brain to think, right? And of course, he brings his personal intellect to the classroom, since he enjoys doing lots of activities prepared by the teachers. But as soon as he progresses towards his educations, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, until secondary school, he realized that he started to lose his own interest in learning. Okay, and little did he know that none of his teachers realized there is none to less effort, or maybe there are some efforts, but most of the teachers actually do not realize about this, that there are connections to engage his personal intellect and to relate it to his conceptual mind. So I'm not blaming his teachers. Perhaps his teachers do not know how to cater his conceptual mind, okay, to the syllabus or to the curriculums. Or perhaps our curriculums are so disintegrated to the extent that not integrated, sorry, are so disintegrated. Means they look like they are connected, but they are not connected at all. Okay, why did I say this? Because based on the evaluations of lots of curriculums, or maybe you can attest to what I say. Okay, when it comes to the cross-disciplinary design of standardized curriculum, this is perhaps what I can say. Science standards are concept-based, right? For social studies like history, what else? Civics or moral. Okay, they are based on the fact base of geography, considered as a fact base. Mathematics standards are skill and concept based. English or art language, language of arts. Okay, language skill based. Okay, and before we go further, let us look at what is concept, what is a fact. Concept is an abstract idea, generalized from a particular evidence. A fact is something that is known to be true, or a thing that is indisputably the case. To compare, a concept is something that can be understood, and a fact is something that is usually memorized. I can attest you, Nikolay is ourselves. Nikolay is our students of today's. Okay, in the beginning of of his schooling years, we tend to bloom. We tend to excel in the way that how we use our brain. Kids are very good in solving the problems. It is a fact. Kids are very good in solving problems using their own creativity. But as soon as they actually in our schooling system, okay, in our own education system, the creativity or the solving problems becoming lesser in terms of their capabilities due to so many factors. And then our teachers tend to blame this Nikolay problem on gaming or to the phones or to the gadgets. Perhaps it might be certain percentage on that, but kids are not being exposed to the gadgets all the time unless you allow your kids actually to be exposed to the gadgets all the time, which is not which should not be the case. You understand that? Okay, let's coming back to this concept versus effect. Let us differentiate more so that we can understand. Even though I think this is very simple, alright? I just want to clarify further on this. Alright, sample of effect, for example, people use legs to walk. We use mouth and teeth to chew foods, alright? So basically, effect is a real occurrence and it needs to be verified. And then facts cannot be disputed. It is a truth. And one more thing about fact is that something that is usually memorized. For example, the capital city of Malaysia is Putrajaya or Kuala Lumpur. It is a fact. Alright? Or dodo birds are extinct already. It is a fact. So most of the facts you have to memorize. So when we look into the cross-disciplinary design of these standards, okay, when I said science standards are concept-based, so it must be based on the evidence. So it involves lots of experimentations, lots of observations. So to make our students fully utilize his or her brains, we need to focus on teaching concepts rather than teaching facts. You cannot teaching facts because facts need to be remembered, need to be memorized, but we need to teach concepts. That's why I want to suggest to improve, to integrate a lot of thinking in our classroom. In your classroom, we need actually to design our teaching so that overall structure to be concept based. So our focus then will be on developing the understanding. Through our senses. Okay, so there will be lots of interactions, a lot of communications, a lot of proving, a lot of debating. Then the class will be meaningful. We need to address specific content and skill standard to support deeper conceptual structures. Okay, what does it mean by that? Okay, this is very simple. Okay, let's say I take a Islamic religious education study as an example. Alright, it is a concept that has been taught since we were very young, that Allah is one. Allah is our God, and He is one. Okay, that is the concept. Okay, and then it needs lots of proving in terms of that. For example, okay, Allah, for example, in the Quran, Allah says, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahus samad. Katakanlah, Qul huwallah, Allahu ahad. Okay, Allah is one. Allahus samad. He is the one that we actually ask for stuff. Okay, tempat kita meminta. Lam yalid walam yulad. Dia tidak beranak dan tidak diperanakkan. Okay, he's not begotten. Okay, alright. He does not have son, or he's not begotten. Okay, walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. and no one is actually same level with him. He's perfect, he's unique. So that is concepts, and then it is proven through other verses in the Quran, saying that if there were two gods, of course the universe will be destroyed. You see that how actually Quran put this kind of concepts, and it is strengthened by another kind of concepts, another kind of questions, okay, to strengthen that the concepts Allah is one. But for some people, Allah is not one, because that kind of concept has been maybe has been influenced by other concepts. For example, people who are not Muslims, uh, they tend to believe there are so many gods, because the ideas of God as a perfect, or God can inherit in other forms, in other deity, is okay for them. You understand that? Okay. All right. Let me give you another samples of concepts, yeah, related to the science. Fire burns. Fire burns. Fire tend to burn. Api bersifat membakar. Alright? That is a concept, right? Api bersifat panas. That is concepts. To teach this concept, basically what can you do is, you can actually bring a boiling cup of coffee, for example, and let the students not touching or put their hands inside the cup of hot coffee, no, but you can actually hold it and then let them feel it, and they actually can feel it. It is actually using their senses to understand, okay, this is how heat feels like. Okay, that's one thing. Or maybe you can bring something that is totally different than 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 the the than than the properties of fire itself, which is membakar ataupun burn ataupun heat just now. For example, you could bring a box of ice and then let the students touch and feel it. They feel cold. After that, they touch, they hold the cup of coffee. Okay, this is heat, panas. Okay, so these are two different things. So you are using contradictory uh, properties, okay, to actually differentiate between these elements of heat and cold, right? And of course, when what does it mean by deeper conceptual structures? Deeper conceptual structures is when you explain how does it become hot, how does it become cold, by using a lots of what I call it as a science concept, for example, like through observations, by comparing, by classifying. For example, you want to classify kind of animals, warm-blooded and cold-blooded, all right, by measuring, okay, by communicating, by predicting. Okay, these are the things that you use to support deeper conceptual structures. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you want to know the students are good or not in understanding the concept base inside for your classroom, they should know what to describe, they should know what to discuss, they know how to discuss, they know how to explain, and they can actually analyze and compare with another deeper concepts. Okay, the fact that, for example, when the students can compare, like I give you Islamic religious education, they can compare between the differences of the religion, the differences of the aqidah of different religions. That is actually element of deeper conceptual structures. Okay, so this is simple. Okay, so these are the things that we should do in order to improve our teaching, rather than just explaining and just explaining like what I'm doing right now. Okay, all right. So when it comes to conceptual minds, it explores. Okay, It uses lots of ways. It uses lots of materials, lots of observations or senses. Your five senses. What else? And then again, I want to stress that the factual mind actually memorize, and that is how Nikolay becomes demotivated, because it doesn't fit into his his conceptual mind. Our mind basically is conceptual mind. It's not. It can be a fact mind as well, but at the same time, for example, even in the Quran, even the way that we approach the Quran, when we read the Quran, we actually need to reflect. It's not just only to memorize. The memorize is a good thing, but to understand is better. That's why the elements of tadabbur is superior compared to memorize. And the companions, they took a long time to understand, to tadabbur, rather than to memorize. You got it? Okay, I think you can get it very well, easily. Yeah. Right. So again, when I said about the gadget, okay, maybe gadget has some influence, but at the end of the day, I think we need to look at how actually we structured our lessons, how we structured our curriculum, how we structured our assessment. Alright, so that's why I wrote it there. Don't blame too much sport or goofing around during recess time. I think it's okay. Kids actually need that goofiness to poke their kids, as long as it does not lead them to injury or something that is very dangerous that they are doing. They can actually, I think kids actually we actually need to be playful. It's not stress all the time. Okay. Okay, let me bring you to another situation. Is this your classroom? Okay. Kids are busy with experiments, and then they process with discussion while doing the experiments. They are talking to their friends, discussing about the thing that they are doing inside the lab, and then teacher actually asks questions. So how does the machines make car move? Right? Then the students, based on the teacher's question, they collaborate and hypothesize, producing lots of ideas. Okay, and then they tested their hypothesis just now by conducting more experiments using levers and pulleys. Okay, and then after that, the teachers direct the students to use the concept of force and energy. Okay, how actually the car move, right? And then after that, students express ideas, question each other based on their understandings from their own observations. Okay, so my question is, what do you think of the classroom? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it fit into what I want just now? Designing our teaching to support deeper conceptual structures. What do you think of the classroom? Okay, I think you already have the answers, alright? This is quite easy. It is an active classroom. Why is it an active classroom? Because it has many elements that I already mentioned to you just now. The fact that they involve in measuring, the kids involved in communicating, they are comparing, they are analyzing, they are classifying, which is what are the functions of the pulleys, what are the functions of the levers. Ini hukum tuas, tuas ataupun roda, when dia berfungsi, so that you could understand what I'm saying. And then they are inferring, they are predicting what's going to happen if they pull one of the pulleys. Apa akan berlaku, right? That is a very good classroom. Okay. And again, I would like to stress, teaching actually goes beyond presentations of informations. Not like what I'm doing right now. I actually do not go beyond that. I just present the information. But while I'm talking, I want you to think. All right. And we can say that the classroom just now, it has a goal, it has objective. Teacher designed that class with questions so that the students are able to investigate his own conceptual mind, his own personal intellect. Uh, it's not just a fact. It's not just a fact that they have to memorize. They actually doing it to prove. Okay. So, and then are there unintended learning? It might. It might come with different conclusions or more explorations. Perhaps maybe students will suggest to do more experiments so that they could see the movement or how the pulleys work during a different kind of temperature or different kind of materials used. Okay, so these are unintended learning that based on the students' interest or students' explorations. So, uh, so in order to have a good classroom, all right, because we are learning about teaching thinking, right? We need to know factually, we need to understand the conceptually, okay, and then we need to be able to do it. Okay, most of the time right now, the level of our teaching, our learning is only on this factually, or maybe sometimes it is combinations of be able to do skillfully, but rarely, or if it is done, if it is combined with conceptually or to understand, okay, to understand the concepts, okay, it might not be stress, dia tak ditekankan dengan lebih mendalam, dia cuma on the surface. We focus on memorizations, perhaps to do it. Sometimes why we are doing it, it is absent. Why are we doing it? It is absent from that. Even our perbuatan, our ibadah as well pun, if you look into that, okay, it's not just a matter of we know. Lots of people know, okay, that's why we tend to be, lots of people know, lots of people will be able to do it. But if we understand why we are doing it, it's going to be different. The level of penghayatan, the level of involvement with our heart is totally different when it comes to ibadah as well. So that's why I like it so much when explaining this idea, because it has lots of elements for us to reflect on our actions. Okay. Okay. Now my next questions. All right. Let's say that I have this kind of questions for my political science class. Which of these are better? Identify wealth distributions across different states in Malaysia. Is it good? Is it a good question or not? Identify wealth distributions across different states in Malaysia. Because recently I read about different states of Malaysia, which of these state yang the most poor, the poorest states in Malaysia, and then they are making comparisons. Okay, so is it a good question or bad? Let's say that you ask this kind of questions to the students. Identify wealth distributions across different states of Malaysia. Is it a good question? No, it is not. Even though it can be good based on if your students further explore and expand the idea inside this, but basically based on this question itself, it's not good a question. Why is it that? Okay, I give you another solution. I give you another question. Identify wealth distributions across different states in Malaysia so that we know who are the richest people and what types of income do they have, or how do they get that kind of income. So this becomes more complicated, okay, and then rather than the first one. Look at this. Okay, this is on the very surface. Okay, identify, it becomes a fact only. Identify wealth distribution across different states in Malaysia. Okay, based on the statistic, it is said that Selangor is the most rich state in Malaysia. Sabah is the poorest. Kelantan is the number 2. That's it. But if the questions we mold a little bit, we change a little bit, we add a little bit into that, identify wealth distributions across different states in Malaysia so that we know who are the richest people and what types of income do they have. Then the students start, okay. So they tend to further explain, to further thinking about that. And this actually involves different kind of concept as well. It's not just stating the facts, but how. It involves how and why they become like that, and how come they become rich, but they do not stay in their own states, for example. Okay, this is better because students could go deeper in thinking to connect with other elements or concepts. So, conceptual thinking is ability to critically examine factual information, being able to relate to prior knowledge, to see patterns and connections, to draw out significant understanding. As simple as that. Okay, it looks simple to say it, but it needs some kind of practice as well. So, contoh simple, bagaimana hujan turun. Okay, there are theory or concepts about that, right? But it will be better if the students knows what are the structures or what are the mechanism of the soil or the geological informations or the importance of having a tree to filter out the rain to make sure that the flood does not happen. So these are the other concepts that come together with bagaimana how actually rain comes down. Okay, daripada proses sejatan di lautan, this kind of stuff. Okay, alright. So in order for us to have this to make sure that we actually can engage on this conceptual thinking among our students, alright. These are the intellectual standards and focus questions that are being developed by Paul and Linda Elder in 2004. It has how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it has 9. Okay, 9 things there. In terms of clarity, in terms of accuracy, in terms of precision, okay, in terms of relevance, in terms of depth, in terms of breadth, in terms of logic, in terms of significance, in terms of fairness, right? So in terms of clarity, could you elaborate further on what you are saying? Could you give me examples so that I could understand? Could you illustrate what you mean? Basically, it's about to clarify, right? Being accurate. How could we check on whatever that you said? How could we check the facts that you just mentioned just now? How could we find out if that is true, that we are having academic recessions right now? How could we verify that Malaysians basically do not have a problem throughout the MCO vaccines MCO COVID-19. Okay, these are the things, alright? So, precisions, relevance, depth, could you be more specific? How does that relate to the problem? What factors make this a difficult problem? Okay, and then in terms of logic, does all this make sense together? Does your answers address the issues? Okay, so these are the intellectual standard and focus question that you could use when you want to evaluate. My plan is to use this for your assignments, but let me find something that can give you a clearer directions rather than this kind of questions. But actually you can actually evaluate teaching and look at, do the teachers actually have this kind of things ignite or to initiate thinking inside the thinking classroom, or inside in any classroom, science or whatever classroom it is. Okay, so I will upload. Okay, so this is all for today. Inshallah, we will have a Google Meet class soon. Okay, so we finish our class with tasbih kifar and surah al-Asr. All right.